Horace, a pioneer undersea explorer, is a research scientist, author, filmmaker and broadcaster, who for over 30 years has travelled the world studying, photographing and filming wild dolphins, especially those who seek out close contact with humans. An ambassador dolphin with whom Horace had an extraordinary friendship off Cornwall was dubbed Percy.
The underwater torch having proved both inedible and apparently incapable on its own of play, the dolphin loses interest. But it'll still go along again for a swim. Like man and dog out for a walk, man and dolphin move together.
When Percy's feeling gentle, he just swims up to his side and lets you stroke him and hold on to his fins. He'll just carry you gently through the water.
Horace believes that storytelling is one of the best ways of spreading the word about the joy that dolphins can bring into our lives. To do this, Horace has written a series of tales about a make-believe, mischievous, free wild dolphin named Dilo. Dilo is intensely curious. He likes to know what's going on and is always poking his nose, or more correctly his beak, into everything. Dilo's mother shows him how to use his sonar, or magic sound as he calls it, to see and explore the world around him. In Dilo and the Treasure Hunters, it is Dilo who finds a gold ring under the sand using his magic sound. To Horace, dolphins are free spirits. So when Dilo is caught and imprisoned in a dolphinarium, it is terrible twin Deborah who sets Dilo free. When his mother dies and Dilo looks up into the sky at night, Dilo knows that wherever he goes, his mother's spirit will always be with him. In 1974, Horace was the only diving scientist in the world to study a solitary, friendly, wild dolphin who was free to swim away at any time.
I was making a film in Ireland called The Dolphins Touch. This boat came along and there was a captain on board and he was very agitated. I've got this nun on my boat and she wants to get in the water with the dolphins. So he said, look, she's getting undressed. She's borrowed somebody's swimming costume and she wants to get in the water and she wants to have a quick word with you, you see. So I said, well, okay. So she's got this costume on. I've got a wetsuit on, of course, so she jumps overboard. When she came out of the water, she said, I'm Sister Emmanuel Immaculata and I'm 61.5 years of age and I come from Cork. And she said that was the most marvellous experience I've ever had in all my life. And it was just as if she'd met the Pope. Yeah. I thought,
the Dilo stories are all based on Horace's real-life adventures, some of which are recorded in his many other books. On this cruise, the author will be entertaining us with clips from his TV series Wonders of the Underwater World, starting with Wonderland in the Wilderness.
One man who's been visiting these parts for many years is Dr. Horace Dobbs, Conservation Officer with the British Sub-Aqua Club. For the divers who made the effort to get here, they're to be rewarded with the feeling of experiencing another planet. The living beauty of the Alsanian soft corals can only be enjoyed by those who venture beneath the seas. For these exotic growths disintegrate completely if removed from the water.
Would Charles Darwin's ideas on evolution have been any different if he had been able to observe the animals on the Galapagos Islands under the sea as well as on the land?
One of the great things is, of course, that they appear not to be afraid of me. I only wish that I could whirl and twirl like they can under the sea.
I noticed that the book is emblazoned with signatures.
Yes. Well, it's actually my diary in a way, and so this is my life in this book. But the reason why it's sort of tatty like that is because I was shipwrecked when I was in the Philippines.
Right.
It so happened that the dugout canoe was paddling past as we were sitting.
It so happened, of course, yes.
And so the Filipino crew all jumped on the kayak. On the dugout canoe, leaving me in charge with a sinking boat. Anyway, when we got ashore eventually, and of course when you wake up in the morning, you've got no boat, and you're lying on a beach in the Philippines.
You managed to rescue this and some money. You've got loads of signatures here.
Yeah.
Dave Bellamy is... how many other signatures do you think are inside it?
Oh, and everybody thought that he was actually taking notes.
Yeah.
And what he was doing was actually signing my book, you see.
Yes.
And he drew a picture of a fish where you can identify immediately, every scale is there. And I went to a conference in Geneva, and I met the only other guy in the world who did the same kind of job as me. Yeah. And he was working with dioxin, Dr. Luciano Menares. And then when I was going on holiday to the Isle of Man, he said he'd like to come along with me because it was going to be a diving holiday. Anyway, when we arrived on the Isle of Man, the lady who was organising the diving said, oh, by the way, Horace, whilst you're here, you may meet a friend of mine. I called him Donald. He's a dolphin. I said, oh, Maura, always loved dolphins. When I formed the Oxford Underwater Research Group, we had a dolphin for an emblem, so I said, where would you like me to see this dolphin? She said, well, he goes down the whole of the Isle of Man, but Port St Mary is one of his favourite haunts. I said, before we go anywhere else, let's go to Port St Mary, if you don't mind. So we go, and lo and behold, the dolphin's in the harbour. So get the old wetsuit on, new wide-angle lens on my underwater camera, going with Luciano, and suddenly out of this pea-green suit looms a 12-foot-long torpedo that comes up to me and opens his mouth 6 inches from my face mask. And there I am, looking at 100 sharp, conical ivory teeth with 500 pounds of backup muscle. And at that moment I pray that he's read all the books that I've read on dolphins.
That they are vegetarian.
So anyway, he decides to put me through a test because he comes up to me and he actually gets hold of my neoprene leg in his mouth. And I thought, well, if it's coming off, I'm having a picture of it coming off. So of course you did. Yes, well, because I'm very keen on photography.
But less keen on your leg, apparently.
When an adolescent male bottlenose dolphin named Simo made his home off Solva in South Wales, he loved to entertain the holidaymakers who crowded onto Jan Sendall's boat, the Iolanthe.
For one holidaymaker, the experience was to change her life.
International Dolphin Watch.
I'm a member of International Dolphin Watch, and there's an absolutely beautiful dolphin down here.
Near St David, Pembrokeshire.
How big's the dolphin?
I would say probably 6 to 7 feet long.
Dr. Dobbs believes that the only way to obtain a true understanding of the creatures that have been called man's cousins in the sea is to study them in their natural environment. So the scientist, the holidaymaker, and the ex-North Sea diver set off on board the Iolanthe to try and find the dolphin. They didn't have to wait long for the dolphin to show his visiting card. Tricia wanted to join him in his world, and Horace encouraged her to overcome her fear of the sea and put her trust in her friends and a buoyant wetsuit. Tricia, who had never even been in a swimming pool before, gradually became accustomed to the fact that, despite her apprehension, she wouldn't sink. So she took her first steps into Simo's world. Did this dolphin wonder what these two clumsy aliens from outer space were doing together on the boundary of his underwater kingdom?